All right, everybody, welcome to the Monday Night Live. I am joined as always by Dr. Craig Winteregg, and tonight we have the full zoo. Abby is here as well.
Woo! Get ready, people. It's going to get wild. All three of us
Let's
up in
start here. Hey, I was talking. Get ready for a lot of
that. Now, children.
So, as always, we are here Monday night, taking your questions, talking business, all that good stuff. Tonight, we are here to talk about Profit First. I am joined with two Profit First professionals, or as the kids call it, PFPs. And Greg and Abby are both PFPs. As I say, I am a Profit Last professional. So if you have any questions about that, you can contact me.
Not recommended.
My email is pretty empty. I don't know why. So anyway, we're here. We're going to be talking about Profit First tonight. We did another live stream, I guess 6-8 weeks ago, at more of an overview of Profit First. And this is going to be a little bit more in depth with specific questions and things of that nature. So welcome to that. And Greg, why don't you just tell everybody in 60 seconds or less, so that they don't know, what is Profit First, why are we Profit First professionals, etc.
So Mike Michalowicz, the author of the book, this is my book. This is the book of Mike Michalowicz. He wrote the book to end entrepreneurial poverty. So there are too many small business owners who are working very hard and ending up with no profit, and sometimes not even getting paid. The typical accounting method, if you have your profit and loss statement that you look at, is you have your income, then there's your list of expenses with your rent and your materials and your employees, etc. And then profit is what's left over at the bottom, at the end. And typically, and this is what we find, this is what Mike Michalowicz had found, is that the business is kind of chewing up all the income, and thus there's no profit. So what Mike did in his book is flip the script where you have your income, and you take your profit, your owner's pay, and set aside money for taxes. And then the expenses are what's left after there's profit, like 5% or 10, owner's pay, and the taxes are set aside so that you pay your quarterly taxes, April the 15th taxes. And then you have to sit down and be innovative on how you're going to spend the money that's left in the final account, which is called operating expenses. So that's just 60 seconds on the general concept.
We've got a whole Profit First playlist you can check out and catch up over there if needed.
Yes, the Profit First playlist is our number one playlist on the channel, actually. That's a popular playlist, a popular subject for people to hit. By the way, if you would like help applying Profit First and you would like to work with two Profit First professionals and one Profit Last professional, you can apply to work with us at adventuretoprofit.com. Our Adventure to Profit program is actually our program where we help you implement Profit First into your business or company, and you get to work with those two, and you can go there to apply to get more information. So let's hop into some of the common questions that you guys receive working with clients about Profit First, or some of the things that come up with it. I think the first thing that people probably think when they hear about 5 bank accounts and things like that is that sounds like a lot of work, and I'm already extremely busy, so I think I'll just roll with my one bank account. So what is the advantage to this, and how does it actually, is it worthwhile enough for me to invest my time and effort into it?
Yeah, so most people have one bank account. We see this in our personal finances too, where, all the money comes in, all the money goes out, checks are written, you're waiting for checks, if you still write checks, bill pay is sent out, that takes time to clear. And then you never really know how much money you have to spend, because most of us are just picking up our phone and looking at our bank accounts. I know I do every single day. It's like a habit, both personal and business. So this system really helps you divide up your money and see where you can spend it. And one of the important parts of that is spending it on yourself and rewarding yourself as the owner. And I mean, Dad, how many times have we seen a business owner who's not, either their employees are making more than them, or they could go make more working for someone else?
Yeah, it's common. We just a new client that we brought on last week is making half of what he could be making working for someone else.
Yeah.
But he's dedicated to having control of his destiny and making, being able to make more than working for someone else. But it's very stressful. He's not sleeping, literally waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to figure out the problem. So yeah, it's very common with what you and I run into.
And then in terms of ease or how hard it is, like, yes, there's legwork in the beginning, but we have our own tips that we use with our clients of how to get them rolling with it the fastest and easiest way. I make it a really painless, or as painless as possible, process. There's things like you can call your bank ahead of time and have the paperwork prepared ahead of time to open your accounts. And I have a special spreadsheet I give my clients to help them with their allocations, so they aren't sitting there with a calculator every time. And there are these little hacks that you can use to make it even easier. But I think at the end of the day, would you rather go pull your profit and loss and your balance sheet and your cash flow statement and reconcile all of them and see if you can really afford this purchase, or call your accountant because your books haven't been done in 4 months, so you can't even look at those numbers? Or would you rather just open up your bank app on your freaking phone right here and just see, oh, hey, I can give myself a raise. Like, I have a buffer in my owner's pay account. It's time to give myself a raise. Or, hey, look, I have a buffer in my operating expense account. I can afford this new hire. So I could go on and on about it, but the thing is we've just seen so many people win with this that it's definitely worth the effort to put in. The return on investment of time and money is definitely worth it.
So we're going to put some more time into it in the beginning, but after we get the account set up and you get into a groove, your banking is actually faster?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it takes, the transfers themselves take like 5 minutes. Like, it's not like some complicated thing. And, with our clients, we're working with them on profit first, but we're also working with them on growth strategies and how to grow their revenue at the same time, the fun at work stuff. But
shameless plug.
No big deal. And I would say on our calls, once they're rolling with profit first, it's probably like 5% of our program. Everything else like that, because it's just rolling and easy. From there, we do quarterly reviews of the percentages and take profit distributions or pay down debt. But even just from us implementing that part is usually rolling within 90 days. And then it's just a quick check-in from that point of like, hey, is it going good? Okay, let's tweak some if it isn't. So it's definitely not as hard as you might think.
And then I also just want to say, for anybody watching live, if you have a profit first question, please go ahead, put it in the comments. We will try and answer it as best we can. Here's a question that I have. So if I'm doing the profit first formulas and my taxes are handled with my tax accounts, I've got all my personal accounts and stuff like that, does somebody still need to use a CPA for their taxes at the end of the year, A? Or B, yes, but it's a lot faster and easier because you have all of your admin in for the whole year? Like, how does it work with an accountant? Do I have to work with a profit first accountant? Like, could you answer those 3 questions? One became 3. What can I say? Gift of gab.
Yeah. So, this is not accounting or bookkeeping. So you still need to have an accountant / bookkeeper or bookkeeper, and they still need to do their jobs. Some of them might be scared that this is going to make their jobs harder, but really these accounts that you're setting up are all just holding accounts. And the only thing that's going to have like a lot of transactions is the operating expense account. Everything gets transferred over. So these 4 other accounts are just transfer accounts. So to reconcile, it's not much work. It's not more work necessarily. So you still need your accountant, and you still need them to do their jobs of tax strategy. I have people where they're getting paid some W-2 pay, but also distributions. And it's this whole thing that their accountant wants them to do. And that's totally fine. We can work with that and kind of combine efforts to give you the best tax and profitability strategy. So you still need someone doing your books and keeping them up to date, but you don't have to rely on them being up to date. I would say probably 95% of our clients don't have up-to-date P&Ls. It's a really awful prevalent thing. I don't understand, but you still need someone doing that for you.
Okay, makes sense.
So did we answer all 3 questions, Neil?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of...
Is it best to work with an accountant, or do I need to work with an accountant who is trained in Profit First, or not really, because Profit First is really just an organizational system for yourself, not necessarily, the accountant or somebody else?
Well, I want to answer that one because...
Oh, you want to say something too?
Go ahead. I want to say something. So the thing about whether you're working with an accountant that understands a Profit First system or not, that's immaterial. Abby's exactly right. These are just holding accounts. Now, the thing that I would caution you against is we've run into accountants and bookkeepers that disagree with this entire system, which is kind of amazing to me, because you have accountants now who have been in this long enough that they deal with people who are like, oh, look, you made a profit and now you owe the IRS $10,000. Oh, look, you made $30,000 in profit and now you owe the IRS $10,000. I know if a CPA is watching this, first question is the business owner is going to say, I made 30,000, then where the hell is it? And the next thing is 10,000. Where am I supposed to get that? Well, when you have implemented the Profit First system, those conversations are over, because the money comes into the income account and then you put 15% into the tax account. End of debate. Now, you may think that, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So just so you know, it might take 12 to 24 months to get the entire system implemented with the proper percentages. And it depends on how much money is coming into the company, et cetera, et cetera. But that's a big, long preamble to, if you have an accountant or a bookkeeper that doesn't want you to set aside money to pay taxes, that doesn't want you to set aside money to pay yourself, and doesn't want you to set aside money to pay profit, and they think that's stupid, then
you're fired.
Yeah, you're fired. Like, there was a show on TV about that once. So in our opinion, this puts in money control. All of a sudden, the stress is gone from the money management of the business. And it really is, like Abby said, it's as easy as looking at your phone and you're like, oh, look, how much is in my profit account? Look how much is in my owner's pay account. Look how much is in my tax account. Can I afford to buy this $1,000 office chair? No, there's only $400 in operating expenses. Whereas when it's all one account, it's all smushed together, and the money that should be being set aside for taxes is spent on a $1,000 office chair. And so, long answer to your question, if you have an accountant or a bookkeeper who disagrees with the concept of setting money aside, like grandma used to take the money and put it into envelopes. I know my grandma did. I know the drawer in the kitchen where the envelopes were. I saw her do it.
The truth comes out.
I saw that look on your face, Neil. I saw that look on your face.
I had the same thought. I mean, how did you know what drawer it was in, Dad?
I knew where the envelopes were. I had no idea how much money was in them. But it's a very simple system. And so if you have an accountant or a bookkeeper who disagrees with setting money to the side, and that's all that extra work, you can do this in a spreadsheet, and they think they're smarter, then honestly, call Abby and Greg, and we'll find somebody who agrees with this system of cash flow management and control.
Yeah, it's sort of it really is finances for the 21st century as a business is really what it is. I think finances for business, 20, 30, 40 years ago was very different, but things never really changed in the banking world or, I guess as the banking world got more specific and bigger and larger, and we had credit cards and we have lines of credit and we have, huge down payments for equipment and we have, stock that we have to pay for, it's gotten really different over time from like when your dad had a restaurant.
Right.
It was pretty obvious as far as like how much money you were spending on food for the restaurant. Whereas now there's bills that are due 90 days later in your restaurant. It's not the
Yeah.
same world. And because we just use one account, everything gets all confused and lumped together. And I think Profit First is just more of a sane way of approaching modern day financing for a business and how to keep it structured so you don't go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. And I do want to give a shout out to the Profit First Professionals community. For those that don't know, there's accountants, bookkeepers, and what referred to as coaches. We fall in the coach category. We call ourselves mentors. So those three groups of people can get certified in Profit First. So theoretically, I mean, of course, you could go implement this without talking to any of us, and people do. But the benefit is you then get this minutia sorted out. You get your specific questions for your specific scenario. I don't have some copy paste thing I do with every single client. I do a specific assessment on every client. And even if you were working with us, let's say, there is a benefit to working with a Profit First professional accountant or bookkeeper, mostly in that and they all are fantastic people. And to me, the fact that they want to go get certified in a system means that they really care about their clientele and they really want to serve you. So I love sending our clients to those people, even if the accountant isn't helping them implement Profit First, but I just feel safe sending them there because I know that they're going to take care of my client because I know they care. That's not to say all accountants suck or they don't care. But like I said before, about 95% of our clients, their books are not up to date. And I don't understand it. To me, like if you're hiring someone to do your bookkeeping, they should be doing the bookkeeping. So that's just my plug. I want to give a shout out to the PFP community because there's tons of awesome people in this group.
Yeah. Plus, don't you have a way of asking questions to that community for specific clients if we run into a problem? You've actually done that before, right? Where
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. all the time I'll, get their input. We have specific guides who are the mentors to us who help us, and I can hop on with them anytime I need to get specific answers questioned or there are people who are specialists in industries. And if I have a new industry that I haven't worked with before, because here at Matterhorn, we really are all over the place with the industries we work with, I can go to that community and say like, hey, what's your specific experience working with this industry? And people help. They aren't like, oh, that's my industry specialty. Right. I'm not going to share with you, which to me is very rare. And that's why I love this community, is because everyone's so helpful. No one's trying to steal people from other people or block you from doing well or anything. It's a super helpful group.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have resources that way.
I think, Abby, you make a good point just about the certified Profit First professional community. We pay a fee. We paid a fee to get trained. We've paid our money to go to New Jersey. We ended up at the author's house. So we know the principals in the company. We know the guides, the trainers there. And we pay a fee every month to get their help. So for me, that if somebody's doing that, that means they're really serious about treating it as a profession and doing the best for their client. So again, just another plug for the certified Profit First professionals and Mike Michalowicz and his team, Ron Saharian, who put this whole thing on. It's awesome.
Cool. Another question I have. Well, first off, we have to give a shout out to Chris. She's one of our Adventure to Profit members and a member of our YouTube membership program. She's been implementing Profit First, and she says she pulled some numbers and was able to pull out 1% for March and April. We'll be able to put 95% of that to debt and 5% for a pedicure. So good job, Chris.
Yeah, get it, Christine.
You've earned a pedicure.
You have so earned it. Go get a pedicure.
Now, one thing that I heard, and I didn't see all of this, but I had heard or seen another YouTube channel do a video about the downside of Profit First. Something about too much money building up in an account or something like that. What does that mean?
So you can be taxed on the cash that is in the bank. And that's also, I've heard that before, like, oh, I don't want to have too much cash. I've also heard I don't want to take this many distributions because I'm going to get taxed on the distributions. But on the distribution side of things, it's very silly to spend money to save money on taxes. You're spending $1 to save $0.25. So that just handles that one. On the other side of things, yes, I have had this where people end up with an abundance of cash. Gosh darn it. Such a bummer. I don't know what to do with all of this money.
You can donate it through the super chat here and give it to us. We'll gladly, I'll take it for you.
But in that case, that's when we partner with people like financial planners who can help you with where to now invest that money, or maybe you can get a CD and earn a little bit of interest. We like to have our clients build up what we call a vault account, which can be 3 to 6 months of expenses in a separate bank that's there waiting for, pandemic 2.0 or whatever craziness can happen. We all live in places with natural disasters. Like here in Pinellas County in Florida, we had Hurricane Irma a few years ago, and we didn't have electricity for a week in our county. So the vault account and having those cash reserves are for times like that, so that those natural disasters and those things that are out of your hands don't hit you as hard as they did before. And at least that's my take on it. I'm not a financial planner. I can't and won't tell you what to go do when you have an excess of cash. So that's
so
my
basically
take on it.
It's you get too much cash because you're automatically doing percentages, which means that you have a very healthy business if you're able to percentage wise take certain monies and put it somewhere. So at that point, there's just nothing wrong with paying yourself that money because that's what you've earned at that point. Or like you said, you could do whatever you want with it at that point.
Well, I find it hilarious that somebody is like, the problem with Profit First is you end up with too much money. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this money? Well, the government is going to get it. Well, like Abby says, the government's going to get their chunk. I mean, at this point, it's, 37, 38% or whatever, the uppermost of tax brackets. So I'm like, all right, so if I end up with $100,000 in this account, then number one, I already have set aside the $40,000 that I need to pay my taxes into the tax account, and I have $60,000 left over. Do we want that, or do we want all the money to be gone and me have debt?
Or you can work for free
and owe the IRS $40,000 and not have the money to pay the IRS, or be working for less? Yeah. So it's like, I just think it's kind of humorous that people find the problem with Profit First is you end up with too much money.
I haven't received any formal complaints yet. Any of our clients are out there and they're mad about how much more cash they have in their accounts, like, send me an email, like, let's talk about this.
Abby and Greg and Neil will take some of that cash off your hands.
Yeah.
Gladly. I will put it to good use. So
I just want to give a shout out to Kayleen in the comments. Thank you, Kayleen. You said some very nice things about us there. Yes, you have been to many of our seminars, and we're happy that you joined us tonight. So thank you for the kind words. We we're happy that you were able to be here tonight.
Yeah. If anybody else in the chat has questions about Profit First, please go ahead and put them in the chat so that I have some other questions to ask. All right. Well, Abby, Greg, so far with all the clients that we've had, we've taken on already successful businesses and implemented Profit First. We've also taken on people like you mentioned before, where the employees are getting paid more than the owner's behind on taxes, et cetera, et cetera. What are some common things or scenarios that you've run into with different clients, no matter what the situation was, that is just sort of an interesting point about Profit First that we like, or the benefit of it, or what are some common things that we've handled that you guys have personally handled for clients with Profit First?
Well, on a broad scope, a very broad scope, it's unusual that we have a client who has a current profit and loss statement and knows their numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
That knows their numbers, and they will generally know how much money has come in. Like on the average, I make $20,000 a month. On the average, I make $60,000 a month. So they generally know that. But then when you say, well, how much did you make last year? They're like, oh, wow, I haven't done my taxes yet.
Right.
They don't pop open their phone and say, well, let me just tell you right now, so far in this quarter, in my profit account, I've got $7,232.92. They can't do that.
Right.
And so that's just common, one for one, broad, across the board. Worst one we ever had was we signed up a client who hadn't filed taxes in 3 years. That's just flat out against the law. And his CPA was not returning his phone calls. So the first thing we did is have him get a different
You're fired.
CPA. Yeah, he fired the CPA. That was like, you're fired. So we've seen it all. We have a prospective client who isn't on QuickBooks, and the bookkeeper is still doing something on an Excel spreadsheet, which I guess if you have a lot of time, that can be done that way, but it's just so much extra energy. And so we've pretty much, honestly, Neil, seen it all. But I don't know, Abby, in the years that we've been doing this, how many times, I'm just trying to recall, how many times have we started with somebody and they knew their numbers from the previous year and what they made? And I mean,
I will say our chiropractors are the best about that.
They are, for sure.
It's really funny, but we work with several chiropractors and all of them know their numbers pretty well. I think also because they're all in the same crew, they all run together. So I think
so you're saying chiropractors tend to have their finances straightened out in
this particular group, their leader promotes the Profit First book, and that's why they have their act together more than the average bear.
Well, and they didn't have Profit First implemented, but just in terms of a knowing where they stand in terms of revenue, they definitely have that from the get-go. But then once we implement Profit First, they really have the control and they can really see where everything is. And what's really fun for me, just as a side note, is doing the quarterly reviews with people, because they're excited. I mean, they're always excited to talk to us, but they know that today's the day I get my profit distribution. How much do I get to take? And then what's really fun for me is when I look at the owner's pay account and I get to tell them, hey, you can give yourself a raise. Like, go give yourself a raise. So I've gotten to do that a lot, actually. And that's really fun and rewarding because we get to see how hard all of these people are working, no matter what industry. All of our clients are working their butts off. And I'm sure if you're watching this, then you probably are working your butt off as a business owner. So it's a good feeling when I get to say that to someone.
And the other thing that we're able to do, like Neil, our client Mark, he hasn't wanted to take his distribution. His pay is good, et cetera. So he's setting the money aside for another business. And over the weekend, he He went to scope out another business, and he can pay cash for it.
That's a great way, because you don't get taxed on that either, right?
Well, that's going to be its own LLC, its own write-off, all of that. So the point is that you end up.
It's great for money laundering.
Guys, this is why it's just me and Greg who do the Profit First.
I wasn't even invited to join Profit First. I found out about it like months later. I'm like, what's this Profit First thing? How come I wasn't allowed in?
Gee, I wonder why.
This call. So anyway, it's cash flow management.
Yeah. It's just having a system in place.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, it's having a system in place.
And it's funny to me is that it's so funny in every world that I've walked around in, of so many businesses that don't know their profit and loss statement, or don't have their figures up to date for 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. It's like, that really is running your business as if a doctor just did exploratory surgery on every patient that walked in without an x-ray. You know, it's just sort of blindly going along, having no idea if what you're doing every day is doing anything, or if it's good or if it's bad. It'd just be like, oh, my stomach hurts, doctor. Well, let's open up and see what's going on. Like they have x-rays for a reason. And these numbers are the x-ray for your business. It's the only way that you can really look at and understand if what you're doing is making a difference in your business. And it's just so funny how many people, I think it's just people's inability to like confront and look at like what really is going on with their money, that they just sort of keep it all in one account, and they open it up and they go, man, look at all that money I have. And really 98% of it is gone and spent already. They just don't even know it yet, or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we also see it in a lot of industries, home builders, remodelers, any industry where you take large amounts of money in the beginning, and then it takes you 6-8 months to deliver your product. It's like you've already spent that money before you've started the project, and then you don't have money for the project. So then you're selling another project to try and pay for the last projects. And that's all just because you didn't take a certain percentage out of your bank account as soon as you sold that covered everything. Right. It's really kind of silly.
Mm-hmm. It really is just changing a behavior. It's not that painful. And just so I'll repeat it, it could take 12 to 24 months, according to what's in the book. It could take 12 to 24 months to get the proper percentages in line with the profit account, the owner's pay account, and the tax account, because we can't bankrupt the company just to set money aside. But what we're able to do, because we are growth oriented, and growth is not part of the formula in that book. So the growth process here is in my book, and that's our growth and expansion program. So I believe I can safely say we've never had it take as long as the original projection to hit our targeted percentages. We're able to do it like what might be done in 12 to 18 months, we're doing in 3 to 6 months. Generally, we're doing it in half the time because
we're growing the business. Right. As we're setting aside money, as it makes more money, you have more money to set aside for different things. So instead of taking 2 years, it takes 6 months, because we're also helping you grow your business. So it's a little bit different.
Yep.
That's kind of our own unique spin as far as a profit first professional goes, is we're not just doing profit first, we're growing the business at the same time. Yep. Profit first is really just one of our tools to help somebody grow their business, is really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
But it's a system that a lot of people know and have a lot of questions on, which is why we answer a lot of questions about it. And again, go to adventuretoprofit.com. You can apply to work with us, grow your business, and in 6 months, be where you could be 2 years from now. Okay. Other questions. So you kind of answered this. If somebody's already starting out and they're in debt, how do they set aside money to handle their debt?
Yeah, so basically what ends up happening is if there's debt, then the profit distribution goes towards debt, is the short answer. So You can still take, like 5% for yourself. Give yourself, that could be, maybe only a latte or a pack of gum as a reward for yourself. But that's how we're going to tackle
Hey, Chris
debt.
is getting a pedicure.
There we go.
Exactly. That's what I would do. So it could be something small, quote unquote. But you've got to start somewhere, and it is part of the strategy to pay down debt. We're not encouraging debt or encouraging paying a lot of interest. You're still going to make your minimum payments or whatever you were normally paying, and this is just a big punch every quarter to that debt.
Okay, so it takes that into account, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other common things that you guys run into or want to talk about? We're at the 36-minute mark, so.
I mean, I think that's we've covered the main ones. Everything else is usually pretty individual, and that's where we come in and help, create a custom plan, custom spreadsheets, custom assessment, and really help make it an easier, smoother process.
Yeah, and if you watching have other questions, you're not watching this live. If you put questions into the comments boxes, we will do more Profit First live Q&As, and we will be able to take up more and more topics each time as more and more questions come up or something like that. But this really has been a good overview of what Profit First is used for, why you might want to use it in your business. And like we said earlier, you don't have to hire somebody to do it for you. You can go and you can read the book. In fact, we've signed up several clients who have already first, but they just wanted help growing the business and utilizing Profit First with that. And that's why they signed up for us for our services or whatever. But if you have questions, feel free to put them into the comments tab. We will definitely answer them, usually as succinctly as possible in the chat box, but then we'll do some more lives on Profit First and be able to answer more and more questions on that. Again, go to adventuretoprofit.com where you can apply to work with us and get these amazing results for yourself. And you'll have 2 experienced people with Profit First and me coming in every now and then into the weekly live calls just to create trouble. And we always have a lot of fun. That's the main thing that you get when you get to work with us is we have a lot of fun. We have fun at work.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. By the way, you guys didn't get my joke I made earlier. I said, so you're telling me chiropractors seem to have their finances aligned or straightened out or something like that?
Oh, sorry.
I thought it was a good one, but
Sorry, dad joke.
Good. So we will end the live here tonight. Thank you all for watching. Hit the thumbs up in the little box down there with the thumb up, not the thumb down. And every Monday, 7:00 p.m. Eastern time, we have a live stream discussion, topics, etc. So you can go back and you can actually look at some of our previous topics. We did, I think last week was the 4 pillars of that was the membership. Yeah, sorry, I'm already. We do a different live topic all the time, from Profit First to sales to making tough decisions in business to hiring employees, all these different types of topics. We usually go for 30 or 40 minutes, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more, and try and talk about as many topics as we can, just naturally live with us, just having fun. So if you had a good time, please hit the thumbs up. We will see you next Monday, 7:00 for another topic, another video. See you all then. Pat the thumbs up.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.